Hi, my name is Emily and I'm in the Indigenous Studies 100 class with you guys. For this project, I'll be talking about the Dogon people in Africa. Some topics I'll be covering are a brief history of where they come from and who they are, their first contact with Europeans, their culture, and what they're doing today in modern society. I'll also try and make some connections between them and the Indigenous people of Canada. Thank you for watching and taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you enjoy. So, who are the Dogon people? The Dogon people are a group in Mali who speak the Dogon language, and there are about 600,000 of them. They are primarily an agricultural-based society, and it is believed they traveled all the way from Egypt to Mali in order to escape being taken as slaves and to avoid Islamic rule. However, we don't quite know when this movement happened. And you can see that obviously Egypt is very, very far from where Mali is, so they would have had to travel for a long time. So here's the background on Mali. Mali is one of Africa's largest countries with about 18.5 million people. It is in Western Africa and it is bordered by Senegal, Mauritania, Algeria, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. The Niger River runs through central Mali and has been a major trading route throughout the years and is also a very important part of their agricultural society because it provides water and nutrients for many of their crops. Regions further away from the Niger River are much drier and are mainly made up of sand and rock. The Dogon live in those drier areas in western Mali. Like in most places, religion is a major influence on the people. About 94% of the people in Mali are Sunni Islam, which goes back to the 11th century when it was first introduced in Mali and is responsible for the eradication of many of the traditional religions. The next most popular religion is Christianity, and a small portion of the population still practices traditional religions, like the Dogon people do. The first accounts of contact between the indigenous Dogon people and the Europeans was in 1931 when two French anthropologists happened to find them. They began to study them for the next few decades and were mostly fascinated with the Dogon people's advanced astrology knowledge and their traditional beliefs, which were vastly different from the Europeans. So, their culture. One of their most interesting and amazing parts of their culture to me is their astrological beliefs. To begin, the Dogon believe in a group of beings called the Nomo. The Nomo supposedly came from the solar system and outer space, and are fish-like people that can live on both water and land. They were regarded as saviors and spiritual guardians by the priests, and the Nomo were eventually crucified after giving their knowledge to the Dogon and are prophesied to return again in the future. And here are just some pictures and sculptures showing how the Nomo might have looked. The Dogon had known about a very small star which was invisible to the human eye for thousands of years. The star moves around in a 50-year orbit around the star Sirius. This smaller star, now named Sirius A, was only discovered by scientists in 1862 with the use of a telescope, and after that only photographed in 1970. So the Dogon people had known about this for thousands of years before any scientists had come across it, which is really cool. And they also knew about the Sirius B star, which they originally called Potolo, and Potolo is a very, very small, extremely dense white star, which wasn't found until 1926 by scientists. And the Dogon claim to know of another star called Emma Ya, which we haven't yet discovered, but who knows, it could be out there. And it's just astounding that they've known all this information and have had it recorded in their mythologies and teachings for millions of years, or for thousands, I guess. and yet modern science has only known of them for the past century or so. This part of their culture is so interesting to me because I've always had a fascination for outer space and all that's out there and the unknown possibilities. I don't know if I completely believe all their mythological stories, but it's still very important to respect them and their culture because it's obviously important to them and a big part of the Dogon culture and beliefs. Another cool thing about their culture is that the different Dogon villages are split into districts, which each have their own spiritual leader. And the spiritual leader is called a Hogon to them. And there is one supreme Hogon over all of the Dogon. The Dogon people have a very sacred tradition which occurs every 60 years when Sirius appears between two mountain peaks. This ceremony is called Sigui. In preparation, about 3 months before Sirius is set to appear, the young men of the villages go into seclusion. This is all related to the previously talked about Nomo, who gave them the knowledge of the stars and may reappear in the future. The modern Dogon society and lifestyle is driven by tourism in both good and bad ways. People are willing to walk by foot through the hot weather to reach the remote Dogon villages in Africa to experience the rare and rich cultural ways that the Dogon live. One of the changes tourism has brought in a positive way is electricity and clean running water to the villages. Before tourism, they had no running water or electricity. Tourists have also generously donated money in order for schools to be built for children and hospitals as well. This has allowed for families to stay together because it provides jobs for them in their villages, instead of them needing to leave to receive education, health care, or work. On the downside, this tourism has had some negative effects as well. As a result of all the technological development, the Dogon people now have access to phones, TV, and media. On one hand, this does give them more access and ability to be informed and gain information about the world, but on the other hand, it is influencing their views and cultures. Many Dogon people have changed from their original beliefs dealing with animism to those of Islam and Christianity. Also, traditional buildings being made from mud material are not being well kept anymore. They need regular maintenance yearly and need new layers put on to protect them from rain and wind. Another negative effect of tourism is that traditional dances and practices are straying from their original ways. There is a dance the Dogon people do where only the men and orphaned women are allowed to take part. But because of tourism, tourists are now joining, which takes away from the overall meaning of the dance. It is believed that within the next 100 years or so, the Dogon culture could be gone from all these new technologies and changes that the tourists have brought to their villages. To us, 100 years may not seem like a lot, but compared to how the Dogon have been living and thriving in the past, 100 years is a very short amount of time for it all to come to an end, just because of contact. This is pretty sad when you consider that the world may lose another Indigenous group, when we've already lost so many. Similar to the Indigenous peoples of Canada, the Dogon people's lives have rapidly changed and continue to change today too. Luckily for them though, they have not had to face the same hardships as the Indigenous peoples here and elsewhere in the world. They have had a relatively long period of time where they remained unknown to Europeans and other groups, which allowed them to continue to practice their own traditional beliefs and not be shamed or stripped of them. However, they come across as more of a tourist attraction now and may not be taken as seriously as they have been in the past. Hopefully, no more of the Indigenous groups in Canada or the Dogon die out, because that would be extremely sad to see. Both groups are rich in culture and beliefs and should be respected for what they are. So thank you for watching my video on the Dogon people, and I hope I was able to help you understand and learn a little bit more about a group you may not have known about previously. So bye.